took notes for every episode.
Oh, you took notes. Okay, good. Because I
So
did
now it
not.
doesn't have to look weird with me looking at my phone because they can't see me.
That's right. This little banter was just recorded.
I see. So, sorry guys, we're having technical difficulties. So you're just gonna have to look at our pictures and listen to us today.
I'm sorry. And I looked extra beautiful today for all of you. So blame Tommy. I'm just saying.
But okay, so welcome to Queers and Soaps. Clearly this isn't live because it's Valentine's Day weekend, but we still wanted to deliver an episode. So here we are. And
Hello.
today we are talking about The Bold and the Beautiful, episodes 36 to 45.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 2 weeks worth of episodes this time. So roll the credit. Well, will the credits still roll?
Yeah, those two roll.
Okay, let's do. Thank God something's working right today.
All right.
So we open up episode 36. Caroline still can't find a job. And Ridge.
I wonder if people, when watching this, was like, "Oh, poor little rich girl can't find a job."
Seriously, how did she get an apartment? She didn't have to put like first month's rent, security, all that stuff.
It's like anytime I applied for anything, ask where are you employed?
Right? You have to like show proof of income, not proof of trust funds.
But I'm still Team Caroline, all the way.
Ridge comes to see her, and she wants an explanation for why Ridge slept with Alex. And he basically just says he drank too much, and it was the worst mistake he's ever made.
Translation: horny dog.
He asks her if she believes their love is not worth it, and he places the engagement ring in her hand and asks her to accept it. So there's that. Rocco stops by the Logans to see Katie and Donna, and he meets Brooke for the first time. And was it me, or did he kind of seem like he was into Brooke also?
I think he's just into any Logan that's there at the moment. Because I feel the same way with Mama Logan.
Really?
Like he's like, ooh, Logan, target acquired.
Yeah, he kind of seemed like he was like, he thought Brooke was like so cool, and he was like kind of intimidated by her a little bit. But so he helps her like prepare dinner, or start to prepare dinner.
Which this is how we kind of get a little backstory into Rocco's upbringing.
Yeah, we kind of learned that like his parents aren't around, and doesn't really have much of a family life, and he's kind of, I wouldn't say jealous, but he admires the family dynamic of Logan.
Yeah, he wants that.
Beth is distracted because she's thinking about the Forrester party.
And I'm distracted because I'm just like, your daughter marries your first love.
That's like years later, though.
I know. But that's all I can think about.
She tells Brooke about the party, and Brooke is so excited for her. And this is kind of where Brooke has a Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald moment. She just starts talking about like how glamorous it would be, and all the dresses and all the sophisticated people.
And then when you go to that party, you're like, it's not living up to your imagination, Brooke. Sorry, honey. However, Kristen did look gorgeous.
Yes.
Her dress was, I loved her dress.
Brooke wonders if Eric will remember Beth since they went to college together.
He did not.
She knows that they went to college together, but the kids don't seem to know that there was a romantic involvement.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of feel like it's just like her claim to fame that she went to college with Eric Forster.
Yeah.
Eric convinces Kristen to join Forrester, which she
Mm-hmm.
reluctantly does, but she does it because she loves her daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephanie has a really bad attitude about throwing a party for the European buyers.
Yeah, but the bad attitude's always there. I was thinking, I was just like, I do not want to come in contact with Stephanie on a bad day.
I feel like
I
every day's a
would,
bad day for her.
true. I would leave crying. I'd be like, oh, she hurt my feelings.
Eric says that it's customary to entertain at home for the European buyers.
I think I've heard that before too.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like a sign, like, oh, you're letting us into your home. Like, okay.
Brooke tells Katie Rocco came by to see her, and Donna
Mm-hmm.
overhears them and isn't pleased that he's been popping in when she's not around.
Didn't Donna bring him into their lives, right?
Yeah, he
Okay.
was like flirting with her, and she like used him to like make Katie feel better about herself. So what's
Yeah.
the problem?
Yeah. Exactly what I was thinking.
Maybe because he's like outwardly interested in Donna, and that annoys her.
Mm-hmm. I think she's
Um,
kind of jealous.
you think so?
Yeah. I think Donna's used to getting most of the attention.
Yeah, and he did kiss her the last time we talked about Bold, so that maybe
Mm-hmm.
made her more jealous. Brooke tells the family about Beth is catering the Forrester party, and they wonder why Beth is not happy about the job because, like we said, they don't know that there was a romance there.
Mm-hmm.
So later, because he's curious, Storm asks Beth how she knew Eric, and she downplays it. But later, she has a flashback of like being on a date with Eric,
Sitting in the car, just
talking about their
necking,
future together,
necking. I think that's what they used to call it.
necking.
Yeah, isn't that what they used to call it?
I guess I don't know.
I don't know. When he was courting her.
Parking. That's what they would call
Parking.
it. Parking.
Parking.
um, so Rich now slips the engagement ring on Caroline's finger, and he speaks his wedding vows to her, which I thought was like awkward and weird. um, he asks if she can look at him and say she's not in love with him, and she says she can't. She agrees to see him, but no promises because she wants to take things slow.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't blame her.
Which you what?
I don't blame her.
They kiss and he leaves. And she initially runs after him, but he's gone already. And she takes the ring off and puts it back in the box. Were you like, good girl?
I'm thinking you should have sent that ring with him. That ring has no business being in your home, Caroline. Go pawn it. Problem solved.
So Donna meets up with her boyfriend Mark at Griffey's. And Mark tries to convince Donna it's a good idea for them to move in together to escape the pressure and rules of their families.
I'm like, you are two teenagers living in LA. Good luck finding an apartment you can afford.
And he's talking about his grades in med school. Like, you're in high school. You have to do pre-med first. Calm down. Yeah, a lot of years before med school. Get into an actual college first. um, she says she'll think about it because Donna's Donna.
Mm-hmm.
And Rocco sees her and she tells him, she tells him that she's not a fan of him visiting the whole family. And although her mother said he's welcome anytime, she's telling him he's not. So he's like, I'm not the schemer that you think that I am. And he says that he really likes Katie, and Donna says, but it's me that you want, and he says yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Eric makes it clear to Margot she's invited to the dinner party and that she's a very important part of Forrester. Excuse me.
Oh, I thought it was so funny.
Oop,
You
go ahead.
okay?
Yeah, just spill my water. It's fine. Thank God the camera's
I
off.
don't know what episode it was. But when Stephanie was like, Margot said, "Will you tell Eric I'll be in there?" She's like, "I'm sorry, I don't."
Deliver messages for the help.
Yes. It's like, damn. It's like, damn, that hurt me. I felt that through the screen. I was like, poor Margot.
So Eric confides in Margot about Stephanie's disdain for throwing the party at home, and Margot's like, "Why does she have to make everything so difficult for you?"
What everyone in the world was thinking is
And I was like, right? I was like, she's just nasty. She apologized for speaking out of line. And Eric says it's fine. You know, she can be difficult.
she can be difficult.
And he tells her about Kristen joining Forrester and asks if she'd be willing to train her and like shadow her and see like where her strengths are. Before she leaves, she asks him if he'd like to stop by for a drink at her house, and he says, "All right, he'll give her a rain check," and she makes him promise that he will.
Oh, Margot.
First of all, I just have to say, like, I think at this point everybody knows how much we love Lauren Kozlow, the actress. Her cheekbones are on point. Like, I was just like, she has really good bone structure. I don't know how they're angling her makeup, but like, I was like, she has really good cheekbones. So Beth tries to tell her boss that she can't work the Forrester party because it's just like too much for her. And her boss says her husband has tried to make this business work for 20 years and he died trying. And this could be like the one thing that finally gets it on its feet. So the next time we see Beth, she's in the kitchen of the Forrester, so clearly she's changed her mind.
I was like, "Who? Way to lay it on her, guilt
right?
trip."
So she meets Stephanie and is told what the expectations are going to be for the evening. And I was laughing because when she was talking about, I don't know what it was, if it was pork or it was some kind of beef entree. But she was like, it needs to be rare, not medium rare, rare. I was like, calm down. Everybody knows that catered food isn't always the best. Usually the appetizers being passed around are better than the actual meal.
Oh, but a Stephanie Forrester catered event. I kept waiting for Beth to drop something just so Stephanie would have like a moment of, "You ruined my party." But she didn't, so shocked.
So I actually liked Margot's dress too. It was like this like mini polka dotted top with like a skirt and her hair was up.
I'm into polka dots again. Clearly, it's the shirt I'm wearing is polka dots, as you can see on my Facebook page. I posted a selfie. I remember a time I thought polka dots were ew, but now I'm into them again.
I don't like large polka dots. I like mini ones.
Yeah, I like small polka dots.
I feel like polka dots would make me look round.
See, I feel like stripes make me look bigger than I am.
Stripes definitely do because I have that problem also.
You have to know how to dress your body to look smaller. Oh, it's hard.
Stephanie isn't pleased that Margot's at the party, and she kind of watches her interact with Eric from across the room. I was like, okay, creeper.
I was also like, Stephanie. She works at Forrester Creations. She gonna be at the party probably. She's like Eric's.
You know her role at the company. Like she has to be there, bitch.
I feel like Stephanie woke up on the wrong side of the bed this week. And she's just like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Yeah, I hate you too.
It's probably just an extension of her being stressed and not wanting to throw the party.
True.
So she's just gonna take it out on everybody.
Granted, I've never seen a clip of her yet truly being nice unless it's to Ridge.
Right? Or Caroline.
Yeah.
Or
When
Thorne.
she when she gave Bill advice and the advice was like, it's like, girl, you wanted to come to his house to destroy him? Okay. That's a Stephanie
um,
move.
so she gives everybody in the family a task to do, like Thorne, go make sure the car situation's fine. Go check on the bar, like so she could get a moment alone with Margot.
Mm-hmm.
um, she says she's in fine form. You're in fine form tonight. And Margot asks her what that means, and she says, at being obvious about wanting her husband. So Beth spots Eric from the kitchen, and she wonders if he'll remember her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that episode ends. Bill goes to see Caroline, and she's not home, so he makes the landlord unlock the door for him. And he snoops around and sees the engagement ring box, but he puts it down when Caroline walks in. And he asks her what's the ring all about, and he says he detests Ridge for what he did to her. He doesn't understand why he is being blamed for what happened. And she says she hates what he did too. And he begs her to come home, and she says she needs her own place and space. She asks him to leave.
I can understand her wanting her own space and trying to make it on her own. I do. I applaud her for doing that. That's hard. Been there.
But again, you're making it on your own with daddy's money to pay for it.
I mean, yeah, because if she had nothing, I wish I had a rich parent to fall back on.
I feel like that's a TV trope, at least with older shows. Like people get a place without having to put money down.
It's like, I earned this place. I did it all on my own. Where'd you get the money?
And then we just kind of see them struggling to make rent so that they can pay for it.
But mommy or daddy is always there in the background to be like, here's a couple thousand. Don't stress.
While getting ready for the party, Ridge tells Thorne things went well with Caroline and they are working towards marriage again, and Thorne is not pleased about that news.
I was like, don't break that poor cute man's heart. I am Team Thorne and Caroline.
So Dave comes to see Brooke, and they discuss when they'll be married. And I thought Dave was gone already. I'm like, oh, you're still here?
I know, he came back. I was like, why is he here? It's like, Dave, don't you have? I forgot all about like their little plan of using Brooke as bait.
I forgot Brooke was in a relationship.
Yeah. And then he just popped up. I'm like, yeah. Maybe it's time to go, Dave.
She explains she wants to graduate, get a job, experience some adult freedom before she gets married. So he's like, perfect, a fall wedding. I'm like, that's like only 4 months. You expect all that to happen in 4 months?
It's going to be a long summer for her.
Storm tells Brooke that he thinks maybe their mom had a thing with Eric Forrester. And Brooke doesn't think so because they're from 2 different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
At the party, Thorne helps Ridge get out of like a flirtatious situation with 2 women by showing them the grounds. And Stephanie insults Margot by speaking Italian and referring to Margot as just the secretary.
Okay, I was like, I don't speak Italian, but I know what secretaria means. I'm like, not only is she insulting her by her position, she's insulting her intelligence because
she's like, oh, I didn't know you spoke Italian. She's like, I would have pegged you for Cockney.
I was like, I wish she would have been like, girl, anyone can understand secretaria.
Eric makes
Marco just needs to come back with like, Marco just needs to, well, you're nothing but a housewife, a rich, lonely housewife or something like that.
Or frigid.
Yeah.
sexless housewife.
And then Stephanie can just be like, well, Eric and I did just make love the other night.
But it's because our daughter came home. That really gets him going when our daughter's home.
Ooh, let's hope Felicia and Kristen's not there at the same time. Then Stephanie's going to have a long night.
So Eric's is asked to explain his beginnings, and he talks about living in a small house and how his father was a tailor and his mother was a dressmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And when he mentions meeting Stephanie in college, one of the guests says, was it love at first sight or was there another? And Stephanie kind of steps in and is like, I'm kind of insulted you didn't ask me if I had another. And she says that dinner will be ready, so that kind of like diffuses that situation. Mm-hmm. After dinner, this was funny to me. Beth asks how dinner was, and Stephanie says it was adequate.
And then smiles like,
good and then she's like, your boss said I wouldn't be disappointed, and I wasn't. I'm like, just say it was good, you dumb bitch.
She can't give anyone a compliment. She can't.
And then she just kind of smirks and says, serve the brandy.
Which is, again, why I would say if I left after speaking to Stephanie, I would be in tears. I know I can handle meeting Stephanie.
Stephanie asked Margot if she enjoyed herself this evening, and Margot says, would you take it the wrong way if I said I did? And Stephanie just says, no, I'm sure I'd take it the right way. Stephanie was just slicing everybody to shreds.
She held nothing back this week. Like, oh my God. She was the highlight of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I still like her, even though she's nasty.
Oh, I know. She's like complete, like just a high school bully in a way. But I love her. Clearly, that speaks about my trauma as a teen.
Beth serves Eric a brandy, and he walks away, but he kind of pauses and turns back, like something's familiar about her. But then he walks away. Okay. And Beth is upset that he didn't recognize her.
And I'm sitting there. I know I messaged you about this. I was like, how does he not even recognize? Like, they were supposedly so in love.
Yeah.
Like, I remember crushes I had from when I was younger.
Yeah.
Now, people I just kind of met through school, like if I ran into them, they'd be like, oh, hey, Aaron. I'd be like, because I've had that happen. Ooh, you look familiar, but I don't know you. But if it was someone like, I mean, I don't understand. Like, he doesn't remember her whatsoever.
I mean, something was familiar. It's had to have been at least 25 years, at least, because their children are grown.
I guess so. Maybe you would forget.
And then, like, you've aged, and then also it's a situation. You don't expect to see somebody catering your party. So your mind is just not there. You're not thinking, oh, it's you.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair point. I'm still not buying it.
Yeah. I'm trying to bend reality to make it work.
You're trying to help Eric, and I'm like over here going, I know.
I'm doing what us soap fans are asked to do all the time, and that's suspend disbelief.
Because I mean, I know people who they're like you never forget your first love, and it seems like they're making it out to me that those two were like kind of that was their first love.
Yeah. So Storm tells the family that he found a bunch of old overpaid dues or overdue bills.
Mm-hmm. I was like, ooh, girl, relate. No, I'm just kidding.
They don't want Beth to know that they know about it, and they all kind of come up with like ways that they could chip in. And Storm says once he passes the bar exam that he'll be able to take over the bills and they could live their youthful lives as children and have fun for change.
Mm-hmm.
When Beth comes home, she's like, what's going on? Family meeting? And they Brooke kind of covers and says, "Oh, they just want to all hear about the party at the Forrester place." And she says Stephanie was very difficult to work for. I was like, that's being nice.
Should have been like, she was adequate.
She was adequate. Later, Beth sits on the porch and she thinks about seeing Eric for the first time in so many years. And Storm asks Beth if they were involved romantically, and she admits that they were. She says he wanted to marry her, and all of a sudden it was over, and he married Stephanie Douglas, a freshman. So I guess that means they're older than Stephanie?
Yeah.
And she says, and she never heard from him again, and she met and married their father 6 months later. I was like, girl, you were not over your relationship marrying somebody else. Mm-mm. That's why I was like, maybe grandmother Logan was right. It was your fault you drove him away.
Grandma Logan was right. You did play a part. But I'm also thinking too, because okay, we find out that Stephanie was pregnant. That was one of the well, I know this is jumping ahead. That's one of the reasons Eric married her, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that means Eric cheated on Beth.
Yeah. Why doesn't Eric get blamed? Like Bridges.
Exactly. It's always the woman's fault, never the man.
So Eric thinks that the party went well, and Stephanie was like, it was boring. And she was like annoyed that she had to be put through that in her own home.
This party was like the vein of her existence. She
thinks that Eric is above throwing these parties now at this point in his career, that he's established himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, I'm surprised that you feel this strongly about this.
Oh, I am too, because she seems like the type of person who'd want to show off her lovely home with her husband and her kids, and it's all so wonderful. Or it's adequate.
Eric says he thought that they were so happy since Kristen's been home, and she says he's happier, but she suspects that's more to do with Kristen than her.
These poor children.
He mentions that he enjoyed the caterers a lot, and next time they have a party, they should use the same company.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of foreshadows, I'm sure, they'll use them again soon, and that's how Eric and Beth will meet again.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm just assuming. I don't know that for sure.
I'm also thinking like that's Eric's plan. Like he wants to see this woman again because he can't pinpoint where he knows her.
Mm-hmm.
Margot returns home, and Bill is just sitting there all creepy in the dark.
How did he get into her house?
He mentioned that she gave him a key to use.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I must have missed that part. Sometimes when Bill Spencer's around, I zone out. Because I do not like that man.
He like randomly questions her feelings for Eric, and then he also confides in her what went on between him and Caroline. And then he's like, I don't want to discuss this anymore. And then they become intimate, for lack of a better word.
They make love. I never understand that in soaps when it's like someone will know you're interested in someone else and you'll have a whole conversation about it. And then it's like, know what? Let's jump in bed. Even though I know you want this person, you know what? I'll let you settle for me. No.
So the next morning, Bill talks about his late wife to Margot and said that he was determined to have a good marriage because his father constantly cheated on his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he does not want Ridge with Caroline, because he operates the same way. Bill calls the Forrester home and asks Thorne to meet with him. He wants to know how close Caroline and Ridge are getting again. Thorne says he doesn't really know all the details, but it's up to Caroline what happens with that.
I have said it before and I will say it again. Thorne and Caroline are so freaking cute together.
You just love Thorne.
And I love Caroline. So if I combine the two, wow.
You're like, I want them to have babies. Bill thinks it's a shame that she didn't meet Thorne first.
Mm-hmm.
So Caroline has another failed job prospect. She actually like
Girl,
went to the interview and they like filled the position before she got there.
I'm like, man, things work so differently in the 80s because now it's like, we'll get back to you. You'll hear about from them in 3 months, maybe.
Yeah, usually they say, okay, we have like a few more people to interview, but we'll let you know.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't, they just say that to like put fear in your heart.
Yes. When I'm
um,
like, when I think of it this way, yeah, you're interviewing me for a position. I'm also interviewing you as a boss.
mm-hmm.
I'm interviewing if I want to work for you. And that's how I try to go into job interviews now.
Oh, definitely. When I look at jobs on Indeed, I definitely notice if it's been a few months that that job has been on there again, and I'm like, why do you
Mm-hmm.
have such a high turnover rate?
Exactly.
Like I saw
Mm-hmm.
you the last time I looked, and now you're looking again. Like something's fishy there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
like,
I don't
well,
think companies think about stuff like that anymore
yeah,
because they
you're
just
worried
think it should be
about.
honor.
They're worried about breaks in employment. Well, why do you have so many employees quitting?
Exactly. Look at us giving some words of wisdom.
That's how my next interview is going to go. Why do you need help?
Mine is why should I want to work here?
What
Why?
make me want to work for you?
Why do you deserve my time, my talent, and my beauty? No, I'm just
um, now that we went on that tangent, I have to find where I was.
Gotta offer some words of wisdom.
Oh, so
But Caroline,
Caroline and Bill discuss the ring, and she
mm-hmm.
tells them to stay out of it. And while they're arguing back and forth, she gets a delivery, and it's a dress for her to
Okay,
wear to go out to dinner.
since I know a little bit about the future,
Mm-hmm.
every time someone knocks on that door, I'm scared.
Why rapists don't knock?
I know. But I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh my God, is this when the like things are gonna get worse for her? No,
But her
no,
father's
no.
there. Nothing's gonna happen with Bill in the room.
Well, I just meant in general when
Do you
someone
want me to
knocks on
give
the
you a
door.
time frame so you can like prepare mentally for it?
Yes, because I'm not that's not gonna be a good
It
time for me
happens.
because I love
It
to.
happens around episode like 95 ish.
Okay.
So yeah, you have some time.
Because one, I'm not like like storylines like that just because if it's not done right, it's even worse.
Yeah,
Because and this is the 80s, so I can only imagine
yeah,
how you know.
yeah. It was
So
a time. It's a weird time in the media also for it because it's like they did storylines like this to like draw attention to it
mm-hmm,
and make people aware, but the police wouldn't take it seriously.
mm-hmm.
It was almost they were like, "Well, what did you do to deserve it?" kind of situation.
Exactly. And I hate when they do that.
Or were you asking for it? Like, did you
Yeah.
say no? Like, it
Oh,
was almost like they make her out, the woman out to
to
be
be
like
mm-hmm.
the villain.
So
So
like
yeah,
I'm not I need to mentally be prepared for when my my Caroline.
yeah. Maybe around episode 90, start mentally preparing
Okay.
for
Okay.
it.
I mean, I'm not trying to laugh. I'm just trying to like I'm not ready for it. When I heard that happen, I was like, "Oh my God, is this girl ever gonna break?" I already learned she dies.
I don't know when that happens, and I choose to remain unspoiled about that. So Ridge is by the pool, and he gets a visit from Alex, and I'm like, this girl is like a cockroach. She just keeps popping up.
How the hell did she get in that house?
She says she called, and like Maria said that he was out by the pool, and I'm like, so they just let anybody in a bathing suit come and like go hang out? Like, here, yeah, I'm here to see Ridge. I feel like the help should be like, do you have an appointment? Like, does
Be
he
like,
know
no,
you?
It's like, let me go ask Mr. Ridge if you can come in.
Right.
Oh, this Alex girl. Oh, I don't like her. Mainly because I know, just actually, her and Ridge can get together. Then Caroline can go straight to Thorne. So, you know what? I like Alex now because I want her to go to Ridge.
Do you think, Alex?
Yeah, do your thing and make sure everybody knows.
um,
It's interesting how they're trying to use her as like she's throwing herself at Ridge, but he's like, no, no, no. I love Caroline. But
yeah.
he still kisses her and
Well,
doesn't
okay,
like
so
push her away.
she says she thought she'd check on him since he's back on the market, and he says that that's just tabloid trash.
Mm-hmm.
So she says, but his marriage is cold off, and he said for the moment, and she says that's good enough for her, and then she starts kind of like put the moves on him and kisses him. But
I
he pours
know.
water down her back, like cold water, and he
Mm-hmm.
brushes her off and says that he's waiting for Caroline, and she's like, "Oh, you must be changing." After they talk about like the bathing suit she's wearing and how he got it for her like a year
Uh-huh.
ago.
My whole time I'm going, Caroline deserves better. Thorne, where you at?
So Stephanie's trying to get in contact with Bill, and Thorne says he spoke to him earlier about Caroline. And Thorne tells Stephanie that Bill said Caroline got involved with the wrong son. And she gets pissed about that. She wonders if he's trying to divide the family up. And
Mm-hmm.
she hopes that Thorne isn't having thoughts about pursuing Caroline because that would be explosive.
I was like, girl, you too late.
I mean, he flat out told Kristen he loves her. And I'm like, you just met her.
Well, I mean, I just met her too, and I'm in love with her.
You guys are clingy.
You say I'm clingy?
Yes.
When it comes to fictional characters, yes, I guess I am.
um, Caroline doesn't want Bill telling her what to do when it comes to Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
She says she intends to return the ring and not go out with Ridge. So Bill leaves and he takes the ring with him, unbeknownst to Caroline. So then
Oh,
she
Bill.
notices it's missing and she doesn't want to jump to conclusions and say that he stole it or took
Mm-hmm.
it. So she starts tearing the apartment off. I'm like, girl, you know where you left it. It's not under the couch.
And there's nothing else in your apartment, really.
Right?
Like I
Uh,
noticed, there's that. It's like they gave her a blanket too that she started throwing over the couch.
I thought about that. They like
Because
so
at
the whole
first,
couch was covered with a blanket, and I'm like, is it because it was furnished and she thought the
like
couch was dirty, so she covered it with a blanket to sit on the blanket?
I thought when Bill walked in, she wasn't there, that she left and moved out, and they were just covering the couch.
Hmm.
And then she comes in with groceries. I'm like, oh no, she still live here.
She just don't have money to buy anything.
But she got
She's
money for
trying her best
groceries.
not to touch the trust fund. Don't forget she was also robbed.
Oh, true. True.
Uh, so she finally accepts that Bill did take the ring. So Margot and Eric discuss Kristen coming to work for Forrester. And while Eric's on the phone with Stephanie, she says she'll take over where her husband's concerned. And Stephanie says she's not afraid of competition. Women throw themselves at Eric all the time. And she says, did you think you were the only one, Margot?
Oh, I was like, ooh, okay.
So Margot says to tell Eric that she'll be in her office. And that's when she says, I don't deliver messages for the help.
I was like, this party's over and you still.
Well, she doesn't like Margot, period.
Clearly.
So Stephanie flat out tells Eric, Margot's in love with you. And he's like, I'm not having this conversation again. He's like, bitch, shut up.
That's the thing I like about Stephanie. She isn't afraid to say
She
what
flat
she
out says what
wants.
she's thinking.
Yes. Yes. She doesn't like try to hint at it. She's just like, she loves you.
So Thorne talks to Eric about Caroline's failed job search, and he asks if they could offer her a job at Forrester.
Mm-hmm.
he hesitates at first because he doesn't know like how that's going to be with her working so closely to Ridge. And Thorne kind of says there's enough departments that they don't even have to cross paths. So he kind of reluctantly agrees. And Bill comes to see Ridge at his office to return the engagement ring. And Ridge is like demanding to know how he got his hands on it. And Bill says it's over and Caroline is moving on. So now a pissed off Caroline calls Ridge and he puts it on speakerphone. And Caroline agrees to go to dinner just despite her father.
I mean, I would have done the same thing.
So Dave comes to see Storm again, and I'm like, oh, you're back again?
I know. Every time I see him, I'm like, ugh.
And to tell him that the police are pulling their surveillance on Brooke.
It took me a moment. I was like, why are they surveilling her? Like, I had to refresh my memory.
I really don't know how this resolves because like there was such a break in them talking about it. That I'm like, maybe that was just a drop storyline.
Yeah.
So I really don't remember if this ever gets resolved or it just goes away. Storm says the attackers are waiting for this to happen so they could strike again.
Mm-hmm.
And that the two of them can't constantly watch her between work and school. So Brooke comes in and they reluctantly tell her what's happening, and she thinks maybe the police are right and the perps are gone. She says she's not going to let fear run her life. I'm like, good for you, Brooke. I like a strong, powerful woman. Thorne calls Caroline and wants to meet up with her so he can tell her the good news about the job at Forrester. But she says she can't. But tomorrow's better, but she doesn't say why. But then he meets up with Ridge later on, and he tells him that he's going to dinner with Caroline and how they're going to make it work and get married and blah, 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 which Thorne is not happy about. Where are we? Oh, so Stephanie meets up with Bill. And she gives him advice about Caroline. She says she has tried to like him, but she can't.
I was like, girl, I feel you there.
She says that he's too diabolical. She defends Ridge and says that he made a mistake. And she said what Bill did, having Ridge followed, photographed, and telling Caroline minutes before the wedding is cruel. Which she's not wrong.
Which, I mean, but also Bill could be like, well, Ridge sleeping with woman, enough, that woman was cruel days before not long before the wedding.
I don't think what he did was wrong. I think how he exposed it was wrong. Like you could have stopped before she was in her wedding dress.
Yeah, he had time. Like that was awful. Yeah, he could have totally done that. I wouldn't have done it the day of the wedding, but then of course it would have been good soap.
Yeah, I mean, visually it was good for drama, but it didn't make sense. And she says what he's doing, trying to pit her sons against each other, is going to divide her family.
Mm-hmm.
And it will ultimately destroy his relationship with his daughter.
Yep.
So she says it's best he gets out of the house and starts concentrating on his own life instead of neglecting that and focusing on Caroline. So Ridge picks up Caroline for dinner, and she's wearing the dress that he sent her.
Which
and it's not something she would normally wear. She did look great.
I was like, ooh, girl, blue, your color.
And she had like that plunging neckline that Caroline would not normally wear.
Yeah, I know this is set in the 80s, but their hair, I actually like the look of their hair. Whoever was doing hair back then, good job.
Mm-hmm. You know what I noticed? It wasn't on Caroline, it was on Alex, but I noticed it on other characters, like in other episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The earrings were almost like you know how in the supermarket they have like those mirrors in the corner and you know that's where like the cameras are.
Yeah.
A lot of people on the show wear earrings that look like that, but they're square. They're not circles,
Mm-hmm.
and they look like those mirrors.
I
I
was
saw it on
looking at
Alex, and I noticed it on another character, and I was just like, "Was that just the look back then?"
I was looking at Alex's earrings to see the production stuff. Because you could kind of.
Did you
I was
see
trying to see.
it?
I was trying to see if I could what I could see
Like
would
a
make
boom
out.
mic or something?
Yeah. Every once in a while, I catch the boom mic, and I'm sure it's just the way that the TV ratio back then, and when you put it, has
You
something to
know,
do with
I've
it.
noticed on other podcasts people say that,
Mm-hmm.
especially if something gets like remastered for like HD or like just like the format or whatever, that they notice it. And I never noticed the boom mic.
Oh, that's like the one thing I always notice. I don't know why.
Maybe I'm just like not trained well enough to be able to know where they would be.
It's
That like,
always it's mostly over the head.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed in the earlier seasons of 90210 on like podcasts, people always point out, "Oh, boom mic," and I'm like, "Where? I missed it."
I think it's too like what TV you watch it on and all of that.
Yeah. Well, even when Buffy got remastered or to HD for
Mm-hmm.
Netflix, people said that they noticed like boom mics and stuff.
Yeah, I think it
And I'm like,
was
no, not Buffy. That show's perfect.
the creator of that show. I think mentioned one time that it's not meant to be watched in like widescreen or that because of things
Uh-huh.
like that.
Yeah. At the
Which,
restaurant, they dance, and
mm-hmm.
Ridge tries to give Caroline the engagement ring back, and she says that they never took the time to really get to know each other and about their backgrounds. And she kind of brings up like other women he's been with and like how they felt about him or did he even care to know. And she explains to Ridge about her grandfather having the affairs and how that affected her father. And he realizes Bill is comparing him to his father.
Yeah.
She says because of how he grew up, Bill has tried to protect her from men and life in general.
Mm-hmm. Which this gave a little more insight into Bill's reasoning for doing what he was doing.
Did it soften you to Bill, or were you just like, no, I still don't like him?
No, I still don't like him. But it's like it softened the reasoning for him doing what he did.
Yeah.
Because in Bill's world, I feel like he just assumes every man's going to be that way.
Yeah.
He's got daddy issues like the rest of us.
Ridge tries to convince her that once they are married, she'll be so happy she won't have time to think about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And Caroline says she needs time to get her life in order and become a fully whole person.
I loved that. I was like, I'm really shocked they did that in the 80s.
Ridge says he'll back off, but only if they can still see each other. And she says she'd be foolish to say no to that. And Ridge says that he won't wait forever. And she says, well, that's up to you, isn't it?
I was like, damn, girl, yes.
She's like, because I'm busy.
That was my favorite moment from that week was just her being like, all right, well, if you don't want to wait for me, that's fine. I've got to
Yeah.
find who I am. And
She's like, I'm worth it. So,
yeah, if you don't want to wait for me, I wish she'd be like, well, I'm sure Alex is ready.
and I'm like, ooh, girl, you keep playing like that. Brooke's going to steal you, man. Or Alex.
or your dad.
Right.
Because I it's funny, this week is the week where it sometimes I forget about it and then it redawns on me that Eric has been with Brooke and Donna and Beth. Did he ever get with Katie?
No, we've
Okay.
briefly talked about this. I
Okay.
thought maybe there was something there, but Candace said no.
Okay. I always forget about it until I'm watching it again. Then I'm like, wait, what did we talk about? But it still just blows my mind every time.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's some passion shit.
They don't date outside the family.
I was watching The Gilded Age. It really good if you haven't watched it. Highly recommend it. They're trying to hook up their niece with someone, and one of the aunts goes, "Well, what about Oscar?" And she's like, "They're first cousins." I was like, "Oh my god!" And they live in New York, so
So at the library, Donna's there with Mark and they're making out and they're
Mhm.
discussing a couple's beach party that's going on that night. And she says she might not be allowed to go to it, but she agrees to go anyway. And Rocco's eavesdropping from the bookshelves. And
And
he
not
kind of
doing a very good job.
no, he like made a ruckus. So Rocco kind of beelines for the Logan house. And he hangs out with Beth in the kitchen, and they discuss his backstory a little bit more. Like
Mhm.
his parents never. She's making lasagna, and he says his mom never made lasagna, and she's like, "Your mom never made lasagna." And she's like, "Well, I'll give her the recipe," and he's kind of like, "No, you don't have to do that." So it kind of like shows that he doesn't really have the best home life.
Uh-huh.
Um, Donna comes home and tries to get permission to go to the party, but Beth wants Donna to stay home with Katie that evening because she's working late. So then Donna kind of flirts with Rocco a little bit to get him to stay and watch Katie so she could go to the
Which is
party.
funny because Donna doesn't want Rocco around whatsoever.
Yeah, right.
But
But now it's okay because she wants to do
yeah.
something.
Mhm.
But before he can answer her, she runs out and goes to the party. Um, so then later on in the last episode of the week, Katie comes home and she's like excited to see Rocco. She just came home from work. I didn't know Katie had a job, but okay. um, I was trying to figure out what she does for work by her outfit. I was like, maybe a
I think
fast
it's
food
fast
restaurant.
food. Mhm.
um, and he kind of flirts with her, makes her feel good about herself. And Beth ends up coming home and realizes that Donna's not there. And meanwhile, at the beach, things are getting hot and heavy between Mark and Donna. They briefly discuss living together again.
And I
And
go,
really? Because I thought last time we talked about Mark, you thought he was cute.
oh, I like Mark, but I mean like them living together.
Oh.
I'm like, ugh.
Oh, side note, those jeans Rocco was wearing were fitting him in all the right ways.
It's funny.
He like walked away and I was like, damn, look at that booty.
When he was leaving, John caught him on TV and was like, "What the fuck is he wearing?"
And then when he throws his leather jacket on, I'm like, all right, yes, I will get on your motorcycle. I don't even think his
Uh,
like he's that attractive. It's just like the whole like look, I guess. I don't know.
it's the package put together. You're like, I like it.
He's got the bad boy look, but he's not a bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
um so he runs off to the beach, and I thought it was funny when all the couples are like under a blanket for privacy. And I was just
It's
like,
like,
all
what is
right,
this?
that's what we're doing.
What is this? The Big Brother house?
And he's just like peeking under every blanket, like Donna, Donna.
And that one guy's like, weirdo.
And he warns her that her mother's home and knows that she's not there, so she like gets out of there before her and Mark could do anything. And she kind of has it out with Beth and Storm, I think,
Mm-hmm.
about lying and not being there for Katie and doing whatever she wants when she doesn't have permission. And Donna kind of has that middle child syndrome where she's like, I don't get to do anything I want. You better not push me. And I'm like,
I'm
ooh,
like,
you're going to move out with Mark?
trust me, girl, it ain't gonna be as fun as you think it is at your age.
Right. Um, and I think that's pretty much it for the week. unless you can
Mhm.
remember anything else.
No, that was spot on.
The last episode is the only episode I didn't take notes for, so I just was kind of going off of memory. um, so yeah, so that was 2 weeks worth of Bold. I think that was good. It gave us more to talk about.
Yeah, I think the week 1 was a little better than week 2.
Oh, because of the party.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Stephanie's commentary
Yeah.
on the party.
um, yeah. So at this point, who's your favorite character?
I really enjoy Stephanie when she's on screen.
I do too. I perk up when I see Stephanie, Caroline, Margot.
Yeah, I get kind of bored though when we go to the Logans.
See, I don't when it's Katie because I like Katie, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I just like her whole like acne storyline. I don't know. She has like low self esteem, and I just want her to be happy.
We relate. Uh, but yeah, when we go to the Logans, I kind of get a little disconnected.
Okay, I know you've
So
said in the past you don't really like Storm.
yeah, there's some about Storm I don't really care for. I'm not a huge Donna fan either. I do like Beth and Brooke,
Hmm.
but I'm ready for Brooke to become the sloppiness that she is, that we know and love.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I'm ready for, which I know they only had like 20-minute show without the commercials. They don't have like, it's going to take a little bit longer to get the characters together.
yeah. Which is why I'm glad we did 2 weeks worth because it felt like there was more to talk about.
Yeah.
It almost didn't feel like it was a 20-minute show.
No. That second week though dragged a little bit for me. I was like, oh.
But
But yeah, that's it.
all right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for our
Mhm.
discussion of Bold and the Beautiful, episodes 35 to 45. As always, you can check us out on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And this week for our Patreon, we have a very special Valentine's Day episode where we talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 2, episode Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered.
16.
It's episode 16.
I believe so.
So head on over to patreon.com/queers and soaps and you'll get access to that, as well as Knots Landing, Falcon Crest, pretty much all our primetime stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and early access to Tomorrow's a New Day and the after show.
Mm-hmm.
So until next time, have a great week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.